Welcome in to another new AMP podcast. I'm Ben Dubose, your host, and I'm the news editor with the AMP Publications team, where I create content for both Materials Performance Magazine and Coatings Pro Magazine. First things first, our apologies for not having as many episodes over the past month as we usually do. For those of us connected to AMP, of course, that stands for the Association for Materials Protection and Performance. It's been an extremely busy month, let's just be honest, because we just wrapped up our annual conference and expo. The 2024 version was held the first week of March in New Orleans, and it was a very successful and informative show. We had about 6,000 attendees and just under 400 exhibitors. So for podcast purposes, we made a lot of connections at the show that should make for insightful guests. And one of those contacts is with me today. It's Ryan Bingham, who heads up the business development operation at a third-party inspection services provider. His company also happened to be one of those 380-something exhibitors at the 2024 AMP show. Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about both your career and the company you represent?
Okay, no, thanks for having me, Ben. Appreciate it. So a little bit about myself. I guess I can start in college. Well, I graduated from Texas State University with a degree in finance. Now, unfortunately, I didn't really use that degree once graduation was over. All of my things aligned. I actually got a job for a commercial construction company, and I worked there for about 4 years. And starting with them, they actually sent me to the field because I didn't know anything much about construction. And I think a lot of people, when they saw me going that route, they were kind of like, huh, that's going to be interesting. Let's see if he can last or actually endure that type of environment. So it was a fun little spiel. But yeah, for the first 2 years, they sent me to the field, and I couldn't be more thankful for that to actually happen because I was able to go in and learn the process. I was able to learn communication with clients. I was able to learn client relations because I was talking to them pretty much daily, updating them on the construction process and whatnot. And then obviously email and communication etiquette, learning the do's and don'ts of that. And then it kind of segued into me for my last 2 years. So I was there for a total of 4 years, where I worked myself into a project management role and was able to actually run the jobs with some help. And that opened up many other doors about running meetings effectively. And it goes back to the communication tactics and just seeing the way a business was ran. Now, this company I worked for was a phenomenal company. I mean, I would have loved to spend the rest of my career there. They definitely run their business the way every business should probably be ran. And open door policy. You can go to your VPs, the owners, and you can pretty much ask any question you want, and they're going to sit there and drop everything they're doing to help you. So it was a lot of things to take in, and it really helped me understand the way a business should be ran. So now, 2.5 years ago, I got the phone call. So a little bit background from OMC. My dad actually started OMC International, the third-party inspection company, in 2002. So in 2022, might be getting my dates mixed up, but no, 2021, I got a call from my brother, and he said, "Hey, do you want to come over here and help with sales, do some business development? You'd be kind of the only guy doing that." And yeah, and I was like, well, I love talking to people. I think I've learned a lot with the construction side, and I didn't think I was ever going to get where I eventually made it to, and the knowledge I was able to gain. So kind of switching gears from construction to oil and gas or energy. And I was like, I have a lot of confidence because I went into construction not knowing a thing, and it came out with knowing not an expert, but knowing a lot. So I was like, I think I can do it. So I came over in 2021, and it was going to take a little bit of time, obviously, to understand the way OMC was ran and the way they went about with basically what they did. I mean, just understanding that, because I wasn't going to the field. I was going maybe every once in a while, but I wasn't strictly in the field for a full 2 years, which probably would have been nice, but we just didn't really have much time. So I was kind of thrusted into this role, and I had to learn quick. So some background on OMC, I won't touch too much on this, but In 2018, unfortunately my dad passed away from a long battle with cancer. So that kind of was a shock to all of us. And I wasn't working with OMC at the time, but coming over, it was just pretty much my brother, myself, and then my mom, and then the other individuals that we had with the company. So that's a whole nother story to go into. That's more of a positive reinforcement and making sure that you're having good conversations, productive conversations with your parents, because there's a lot of things I never was able to ask and I wish I could have, because you run into a lot of things, especially running a business with they have a lot of knowledge about it. So they're an open book, and sometimes it's too late and you're not able to ask those certain questions. So I don't dog on the past or dog on that, because I know for a fact that he is right now looking down and trying to guide us in the right direction. And his motto is always never give up. So I take that and I use that. And that's kind of my motto for learning this entire side of the business. So when I came into OMC, I noticed a little bit of some flaws compared to my previous company. And I noticed some things that we could fix. One was documentation. We were kind of lacking on the documentation side. So we were able to bring in another individual who had a pretty good background with running facilities from a quality standpoint. So he was able to come in and do a quality management system, SOPs, and get everything per ISO. So that kind of jump-started that side of the business. And then now we were able to communicate with clients with the documentation, everything in place. So it kind of segued in the right direction. And that did come with some interesting caveats. There was some negativity with some of the personnel we had on staff, and we had to make some changes just because, we're ran by ethics, we're ran by honesty and positivity. Without any of those, you're really not going to be a successful company. I mean, with positivity, it goes a long way for our guys to want to come to work, enjoy work, want to learn, and want to just keep moving up the mountain to gather more success for and accolades for our company, but also for us to grow and have more employees and become where we want to become. But so there was a lot of things that we did in that first year to get everything on a set path to work our way, and then that kind of segued into some of the services that we've always done, and then we've implemented some more. So OMC, third-party inspection. We started with line pipe inspection, whether it was rolling or coating of that specific line pipe. So rolling is basically a coil, and you're taking that steel coil and you're running it through a steel mill, and they're basically rolling it and welding it. So you have all types of inspections. You have NDE, you have CWIs on site, you have finals, you have labs, you have a lead inspector. So they're witnessing that piece of coil, piece of metal, steel, become a pipe, and making sure that it's done correctly by spec, and there's no issues or nothing's overlooked from the team on site. So, and then that goes into taking that steel joint and putting it through a coating facility. So we employ individuals, typically CIP certified, to witness the coating application process from bare metal all the way to blasted steel at the steel bench, to coating, to final bench, to loadout, to putting on the truck and sending it to the right of way. And then we also have a fabricated equipment side, which is more of your valves, your skids, your LACT units, your tanks, all sorts of equipment that these companies are always procuring to fabricate at specific fabrication shops. And we'll have an inspector. He can be dual certified, or he can just be a CWI, or if they need a UT or RT, we'll supply that specific inspector, and they'll witness the hold points for that specific unit. So usually we'll get a VITR or an ITP that kind of gives us an outline of the hold points they want to see. If it's a hydro, we'll be there for that. If it's weld fit up, we'll be there for that. FAT will be there for that. I just said that. Loadout will be there for that. So there's a lot of different things. Each piece of equipment's a little bit different, the way we go about inspecting that. but that was kind of the bread and butter of what we've done. And then in the last year or so, we've added more field inspection services with the right of way. So we have a slew of inspectors that are in the field actually witnessing the welding of the joints, the final product, putting it into the ground, backfill, cleanup, all that stuff. So, I mean, you have chief inspectors, assistant chief inspectors, CWIs, you have field construction managers, environmental inspectors, I&E inspectors, NACE inspectors, utility safety. Pretty much any type of inspector you need out in the field, 10 times out of 10 will have that said individual. And then it goes a step further into mechanical inspection. There's another one that we started, which is more hands-on. So we wanted to not only be the inspection team on site, but we also wanted to become a more hands-on, not a one-stop shop per se, but I would like when clients call and they ask a question that we are capable of doing that specific task. So if you need a UT, we're able to do the UT of that said pipe. If you need RT film review, we can do that. If you need two-part repairs, we can do that. If you need coating of girth welds, we can do that. If you need holiday detection, we can do that. And the list goes on. And then last but not least, we added a little bit of some field and renewable services, which are more plant work. And then the renewable side is more substation. If you need high voltage inspectors, mechanical inspectors, medium voltage inspectors, office admins, and then there's field construction managers for the building of plants and nitrogen plants or any type of plants. We have the personnel to supply to those different types of jobs. So
Yeah.
that's the gist of myself and basically the makeup of OMC from a personnel standpoint.
So I know you all are based in the Houston area, but you've got clients all over the globe. So what are some of the unique needs that you see? Obviously, oil and gas is a huge client base for you all, but it goes beyond that. So when we're talking Houston area, but also beyond, what are some of the unique needs in terms of corrosion protection that the companies you work with typically have?
So unique needs for the personnel that we supply. There is we get some interesting inquiries, to say the least. And anytime an inquiry comes in that's kind of out of our realm, we're going to find a way to help that client, whether it be something where we can find a contractor that does it and get them in contact with that said contractor. I mean, if it comes to, if you want to do, let me think of an oddball one. There's rebeveling a pipe, which that's not really oddball, but that's something that we can probably do ourselves, but it even adds more services for us. So if they call and ask for something, it's like, let me talk internally to our team, because there's going to be an individual that we have on staff who is probably certified or they have experience doing that said thing. But from a material standpoint, I mean, the emission of corrosion is strictly just the coating. That coating, whether it's an FBE, a liquid applied coating, or if it's polyethylene, any type of coating that comes through is typically the inspection route we go. But I don't know if that really answered your question. That guy.
Well, no, it sort of does. And then to follow up on that, so I think for your role, you have sort of a unique background in that obviously you represent an inspection company now, but as you mentioned leading off, you began your career in the construction space with a company that did more. Well, it's not that you don't do in-field service now, but you're on the inspection end rather than the application typically. How useful is it to have an understanding of the entire value chain? Because I think for your job as an inspector, the more you can understand the construction and the application side, the better you can anticipate some of the issues that may arise and know what to look for. So how does everything work together in terms of getting from the original construction or the application of a coating to what you guys do now in terms of the inspections and the role that has in the overall process?
Yeah, no, we employ a lot of individuals with extensive backgrounds. basically all different facets of the industry. I spoke about a gentleman earlier who was with a facility for about 10 years and was running the quality department and helped out with all their documentation, made sure when there were audits going on at their facilities that all the paperwork and certifications were up to date and that they were able to pass those said audits. And then he, putting him with myself and coming from a business standpoint, and going from there, adding in another individual about a year later to handle our fabricated equipment inspection side. He came from a drilling company with a mechanical engineer degree, and he kind of hit the road running as well, just kind of thrown into it, and he learned quick, learned fast, and he understands the processes, the reporting, the inspection itself, and coordinating and all that. Even to go a step further, just our inspectors in general, all of our inspectors, they have all different types of backgrounds. They've worked in coating facilities or facilities. They've come from a plethora of experience, and our coordinators, our lead inspectors, all of them, they're the bread and butter of the operations. We would not be OMC without those individuals in the field, and we cherish every single one of them and want the best for every single one of them. And it's a great group of individuals that we have, and we're all able to lean on one another. So if a question ever comes about industry related, we're able to ask each other, and one of us is going to be able to brainstorm and be able to answer that specific question toward the end user. It can kind of go into the importance and the role of third-party inspection services. The role of an inspector is basically the eyes and ears for the specific end user or supplier that contracted you. So you're basically QA QC on site, witnessing the process. And this is strictly with coating of line pipe, because it's kind of different per sector with the fabricated equipment and whatnot. So say you're running line pipe through a coating mill, and it's not required. Companies they're not required to have inspectors on site for applications. There's a lot of companies that don't utilize third-party inspection in the coating facilities. And it's kind of interesting to me because it's extremely inexpensive to have inspectors on site. And I'll say this, we have great relationships with coating facilities, absolutely great relationships. And if any issues arise, we're going to work with them rather than against them, because we certainly do enjoy our relationships with coating facilities. And I'm not dogging any of their people that they have working there. They're all great, phenomenal people, but they're in there doing a redundant job that is getting bare pipe to coated to rack to ship out. Boom, boom, boom. They have a schedule. They got to meet that schedule. Well, they don't have to necessarily meet that schedule, but they need to meet that schedule to get that job in, get it done, keep it going. So it's more of I would say, quantity over quality. So I think they would agree that it's great to have a third-party inspection individual in there witnessing the application process, because first of all, these guys are certified. So some of the individuals on site that work for said companies aren't certified. So these individuals are going to be certified. They're going to ensure that each step is documented. There's pictures taken, a report's being made, and that no issues are making it through the coating process. So when they go through a coating process, they have a bare steel, and then they send it through they blast it. They blast to get an anchor profile, but then they stop it at a steel bench so the inspector or whoever's there can look at that steel, because that's kind of the underneath of the coating. So if there's an issue right there, say with laminations or any pitting, you catch it right there and you can knock that pipe out. So say those companies coat those joints with laminations or pitting, you're not going to really know. Laminations you will know because you'll see a bubble, but pitting you sometimes won't be able to see underneath. So it's good to know that you're getting correct material done per specification, done per industry standards, and you're getting all the documentation from pictures, you're getting dew points, humidity, you're getting pit readings if there's any pitting, you're getting a visual, you're getting quench time, you're getting all this information and documentation for a small expense, and you're getting your material delivered correct the first time. I mean, imagine if some material, which I'm sure it happens, gets delivered into the right of way and you have fish eyes on the coating, what are you going to do? You're going to have to send it back and probably strip and recoat, or if you have any other like pitting or anything, you can cut it off. But there's a lot of financial that you would have to go through for shipping material incorrect. So if you have a QA/QC inspector on site, you're going to get your material done or delivered correct the first time, and it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run, and it won't start that domino effect of having to ship 3 or 4 times to get material correct. So it causes a lot of stress on the project team, the facilities, and the inspectors in the field if you don't get your material done correct. There's a saying we always say, it's you get what you inspect, not what you expect. So it's a little there's a little
I like that, man.
motto that we try to live by, but it's great to have individuals on site to witness the process. And from a client standpoint, it's very inexpensive to the project, and it's going to help you miles and miles and miles ahead for any project. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think so. You mentioned the various types of coding systems that are out there, and obviously the technology is evolving by the year. What kind of challenges do some of those new technologies present to you? And I guess as an offshoot of that, are there any common pain points, be it for you or to your clients, the people that you work with? Just speak, if you could, to, I guess, the nature of some of these, coding technologies in 2024, and if there's any common, if not pain points, then at least trends or areas of interest that are becoming more important.
It's all going to go back to the spec. We live and die by the spec, the specification by the end user or whoever is contracting us. So if there is, when there is a change in the technology or a change in the process, we would have to go back to changing those said specs to endure the new processes and whatnot that come with that specific technology. So, and that's something we love to help on too. We'd love to get in with companies and review their specs and specifications and see if there's any things that maybe you can tighten or shore up. We certainly love to do that as well. So as far as other pain points that we typically deal with trying to acquire new clients, the industry it's a tough industry with clients. And don't get me wrong, I respect clients going back to the original inspector they've always used for the eternity of their career. I mean, they built up a trust. They know their do's and don'ts of what that client wants. Reporting wise, they're very familiar with their needs and the communication tactics and what to look for and all that stuff. And it's tough to kind of dig against those firewalls. But we as a company, we would just love the chance to showcase, I guess, our expertise and what our personnel can do. Because I mean, sometimes you don't know if you're really getting great inspection, if you're just utilizing one specific individual, or you might even be getting price gouged for those specific trades. And there's a lot of good to have multiple assets to go to from an inspection standpoint, so that maybe someone's tied up with a job or someone offered them something a little bit more lucrative or longer duration, and then you can always utilize other inspection companies. So I mean, we just try to get in with these companies, and we just love to see a chance to showcase our expertise. And I don't think a lot of people would be too upset with what we have to offer. I think we offer a pretty great service, and from a reporting standpoint, we go above and beyond by all the inspectors on site creating their own documentation and submitting everything to the client in a timely manner. So it's all about trying to find the right individuals, looking for a little bit of change, and hopefully we can start seeing a trend toward that direction here soon, and we can eliminate some of these pain points that we do have to deal with. But that's what business is, and competition, and that's what makes the world go round, and what makes it a lot of fun too, in a way. So we live and we learn, and we're always looking for for the next big thing and always grinding and always moving up that mountain.
Along those same lines, obviously you were out in New Orleans earlier this month for the 2024 AMP show. You've got other services providers there. You've got potential clients. There's a lot of people from across the industry that are amongst those 6,000 attendees or so. What were some of those conversations like? Be it mutual challenges, new expectations. What were some of the things just at sort of a holistic industry level that were key talking points on the show floor earlier this month?
It started a little slow for us. There was a roof leak that happened
Right.
at the show, so
Right.
that we were not affected. Well, I say we were indirectly affected by it because the pathway to us kind of got rerouted.
Yep. Yep.
So in the beginning it was kind of slow, and we always love to give the AMP personnel a hard time about our booth location, and they always say, well, you chose it. It's like, yeah, we did choose that booth. So there's nothing to harp on. But once we were talking about that and saying, yeah, man, this is slow, no one's coming by, and then we just it started. We got an influx of people coming by, and there's not a lot of inspection companies that have booths at AMP. It's more related to CP, and we're more on the CIP side. So it's I wouldn't say it's a challenge or it's tough. I mean, maybe we're starting a movement. I don't know. I would hope to think that, but we a lot of the people that come by, because we're focused on end users and suppliers, maybe paint suppliers, but maybe some steel suppliers. But there are end users walking around, and we're looking for integrity, and a lot of the individuals are corrosion engineers. But when they come by, the conversation is it goes into is like, hey, I'm gonna get you in contact with so and so at my company. He handles inspection. It's like, see, so this is great. Like, thank you so much for coming by. Even though you don't necessarily deal with what we deal with, you're going to put us in contact with that said person. So it helps a lot. And the conversations about our services, a lot of people are intrigued. There's a lot of services that we provide. We're continuing to add and grow. And I think a big advantage that we have is that we're involved in one of the standard rewrites pertaining to coding. And we don't see a lot of inspection companies involved in this. And it's actually paint suppliers on one side, and then it's integrity or end users who we want to get in contact with on the other. So having an inspection company kind of being in the middle, like an intermediary, because we're contracted by the end users, but we want to make sure the product by the paint suppliers is being applied correctly. So we're all kind of working towards the same goal, but instead of having two conglomerates going at each other, it's good to have someone in between to kind of mediate. So we've being involved in that committee, it's really helped us meet a lot of individuals, and they get to hear what we talk about and things that we see in the field, because the end users aren't necessarily sometimes in the field, and the paint suppliers aren't really in the field either. So we get to visualize firsthand the application process from paint to steel. So it really does help us get involved and meet a lot of individuals, and then they also get to see the knowledge and everything we have, and it keeps the conversation going. It's getting our name out there. They're seeing the OMC name. They're seeing our names. They're familiarizing themselves with us. So I think in the future, like 2 years ago when we first started doing these events, it was a learning process. We were still learning what to do. Now it's like I said at the beginning, we're climbing up that mountain and starting to hopefully have a turning point where things are going to start coming our way.
You make a good point about, in terms of third-party inspection services, you see a lot with regards to cathodic protection, CP, that has an enormous presence, historically always had at the AMP shows, formerly NACE International's corrosion had a big CP presence. You're right that CIP is still growing. So from your perspective, why did you all want to take that extra step to really get involved with AMP, and what do you get out of that relationship? Why do you see that as, someone that's involved on the coatings inspector side, something that's potentially beneficial to your business? What do you get out of it?
So it kind of goes back to when we came over here, the marketing was lacking a lot. There was a lot of things that needed to shore up, and my philosophy was always to try and get involved as much as possible. So joining committees, joining different entities, and getting our name out there. So it was OMC was kind of ran like an old school company, based on word of mouth and handshakes here and there from the past. So now it's, we're in a digital age. So it's like we need to get out there. We need to get our name out there. We need to start meeting people. We need to start networking. So going into the first couple conferences, we were kind of say planting the seed to get our name out there, and then we were like, we need to actually have a booth so we can have people come by and we can talk a little bit more about what we do, and people can see everything, or they can meet the team, they can hear what we have to say, and see that we'd be a great fit to work with them. So it's helped a lot, and the AMP individuals that run all the conferences and whatnot, we love working with them. They're great people. They they make the show fun. We have a great time, but the networking that we get from these events help tremendously. And if it's networking to help out the company next door to us at the booth, and they don't do anything that we do, but they want contacts, like, I'm gonna help them out. I think I believe in good karma, and I'm trying to help out anybody, and not personal gain or anything from an OMC standpoint. Like, I truly want to see everybody flourish, and helping them out with contacts or getting them involved somehow or another, I think it goes a long way. So just talking to individuals that even that had booths, and they would come to our booth and talk to us. It's just great to meet people, because then you start talking about contacts and they're like, oh, so and so. Yeah, I know so and so. Oh, this. It just, in the end, down the road, they might run into something and say, hey, I actually gave your contact to so and so, and they're going to be reaching out. It's like, see, it's great. It's a great thing for marketing for our company, and we're going to continue doing it. And we
Yep.
just hope that maybe there'll be a turn with more CIP, but for now, whatever we get out of it, we get out of it. I think it's going to be it'll be good for us.
Yeah, and I think the events are sort of the front door for you into the broader world of AMP, because you've referenced a couple of times on this pod. Obviously, you use the accreditation for a lot of the inspectors and the services that you provide. You're involved in rewriting one of the standards. So while the events are sort of the front door, it's also given you a platform to sort of get involved and learn more about the standards, about the education programs, about the credentialing, about the other things from AMP that you use within your business, right?
Absolutely. And we're always looking to actively grow into new divisions. So, hey, we might just start doing CP. I don't know. So,
There you go.
it's good to learn that side of the business too, to kind of see it full circle.
Folks, that is Ryan Bingham, Business Development Leader with OMC International. Ryan, for anyone watching or listening that might want to learn more about you or your company, what's the best way they can do that? How can they get in touch or learn more about the services that you all provide at OMC?
Yeah, they can go to our website. It's www.omcintllc.com, and there should be some contact information on there. If not, they can give me a call. My phone's available 24/7. It's 281-687-7340, or they can send me an email, and I will respond pretty quickly. It's ryan.bingham@omcintllc.com.
Excellent. All right, that'll do it for today's show. For Ryan Bingham, I'm Ben Dubose. If you want more information from us at AMP, the best place is to get it. Of course, the association website, amp.org, ampp.org. And as far as our AMP publications, you can check out materialsperformance.com or coatingspromag.com. All right, we'll put a bow on it right here. Thanks as always for listening, and please come back soon for another new AMP podcast.
Thanks, Ben.